This morning I was reading a post on Facebook that was put there by a person that I mentored and have had the pleasure of watching her change her life and become very successful, in my opinion. And she's not finished with her success and what she's going to accomplish in life. But I've seen great changes in her life, and I'm very proud of her. But as I read her post, I thought that I would like to leave this message for those others that I'm mentoring about change. I used to wish for changes in my circumstances. I used to wish for problems to go away, and in fact, I remember I used to daydream. I don't know if you ever daydream, but I still do daydream. But back then, I would daydream about somebody wealthy dying and leaving me their fortune, I'd daydream about being out in the wilderness on some hike or something, and I come upon a cave that had been abandoned for many, many years, and I go inside and there's this treasure of gold coins or precious gems or something like that. And I would actually dream the whole scenario. I'd think of the how I'd get them home and sell them, and I'd even go through the tax scenarios in my mind and what that would do for me to get out of debt. And I'd always have noble, good things to use for those riches. But the premise of finding them through an inheritance or stumbling into a cave, of course, wasn't realistic. I don't know anybody wealthy who would leave me an inheritance, and I don't hike a lot out in the wilderness, and so it's just very unlikely. And I don't play the lottery or any of those things, so winning money just isn't something that's even a chance in my life, and I'm grateful for that. Over time, I had a mentor. Now, this was many, many years ago. A mentor was teaching me principles, and one of the things that he taught was to not wish for my circumstances to change, but instead be determined to change my circumstances. He would say a couple of things like, don't wish for it to be easier, wish that you get better. Don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills. Don't wish for less challenges, wish for more wisdom. And I started changing my thinking, and this was many, many years ago, and I'm still changing and developing. But one of the key changes I made many, many years ago was to stop viewing my problems as problems. In fact, I even changed the word that I use for it. You don't hear me talk about having problems in my life. I changed that word to challenges. And a challenge is something that should be embraced. A challenge is something that leads to a great outcome in your life and in other people's lives as you embrace and get through and conquer a challenge. And that mentality has helped me quite a bit, and has led to me succeeding when otherwise I felt like giving up. I've had several large failures in my life, but they were temporary. And interestingly, I knew as the failures were unfolding and happening that they were temporary. I already understood this concept, thanks to these mentors I had had, that life is not easy, and we shouldn't expect it to be free of problems and issues, but just treat them as challenges, treat them as experiences to help you grow and help you conquer, and that'll help you. I've worked some over the years with people with various addictions, and I've gone for a couple of years. I went to some of those, many of the Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous type meetings, and studied those problems. And what's interesting is so many with those issues, they get stuck in a cycle while they're using. They feel like they're not responsible for anything, so they do whatever. And when they're recovering, they feel horrible about what they've done, and they get this great sense to change and desire to change, and they hope, and many of them dream and crave and reach out for their circumstances to change. A number of years ago, I was hosting a radio show, and I had a guest on who had recovered from a severe drug addiction. And as he was telling his story, He was literally in the depths of despair, lying in the street, um, not only homeless but alone with no friends. And um, at that point, he had a change in his mentality. A number of things. I mean, he turned to God, which I think is an important principle. But another thing he chose to do was to not rely on his circumstances changing, but instead to change his circumstances. And I follow him still on Facebook today, and he's blessing a lot of lives and ministering to a lot of people who have the same challenge he used to have. And so if your life isn't what you want it to be, then change it. If you want more money and less debts and bills, then change it. If you want more financial freedom and less financial stress, then change it. If you want a healthier body, then change it. And what is it? What is the it that we're talking about changing? And that is changing you. You cannot change your circumstances until you first change you. And so I challenge you to start those changes right away. And you might say to me, well, Mark, that's hard. I mean, what you're saying is very hard. It just, well, listen, stop wanting hard and start desiring to be determined enough to make those changes. You can do it. Many, many, many more before you, many people before you have done it and made great changes in their lives, and many in circumstances far more challenging than yours. So I challenge you today, make that determination in your mind that you'll do whatever it takes to change your life so that your circumstances change. And God bless you as that takes you down a road of prosperity and success that you dream of.